Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Kerbal Space Program Career Mode. Now, I'm doing something a little bit different this time around. I am actually recording the audio of this video separately so that I can have the video play at a higher speed. And as a result, I accidentally made the mistake of uploading the video without the audio rather than the video with the audio. Yep, my bad. I'm very sorry about that. So, we are going to be going to the North Pole today. And in order to do that, I am trying to replicate an actual plane that flew around the world. This plane is called, let me double check that. I believe it was called the Global Flyer. Yes, it was called the Global Flyer. And I saw this in a popular science magazine, and I thought it was a very interesting look for a plane. And well, I decided, it probably can work in Kerbal Space Program. Not quite the same way as it does in the real world, mind you. I mean, in the real world we have a lot more advanced techniques of transferring fuel throughout the plane. Plus, in real life, we have fuel inside the wings of the planes, rather than just the fuselage. And it is designed in real life with a single jet engine right behind the cockpit. It's not really a high-speed kind of plane. It's more of a try to go as far as possible with one tank of fuel. Or one engine, I guess. Because I don't know if I could say it would be one tank of fuel. It is a lot of fuel in many different tanks that are all interconnected. So, now keep in mind that this isn't really an exact replica. An exact replica would be kind of difficult to manage. And for one, we're adding science equipment onto this thing. And the original and the Global Flyer, it didn't really have much to it other than a place for the person who's flying it to lean back and lay down in the cockpit. They were still flying the plane, it's just a little bit more comfortable during an 88-hour flight to be able to recline and not stay sitting upright the entire time. I wonder where he went to the bathroom. It's probably best not to think about that part. Let's just keep science. Let's just keep the focus entirely on the science of the thing and not the wonders of where the human can release their waste. Right. So we do have a few things that are going to be a small issue with this plane, and the video is going to show the issues when they happen. The biggest issue about this thing is that it is not the most nimble of aircrafts. It is very much a point, one direction, and go kind of thing. Now, that said, I do have to turn this thing around. Because when we're taking off, we're pointing east, and east doesn't get you to the North Pole very fast. In fact, it never will get you to the North Pole. Unless you are kind of banked slightly to the north. In which case, east might get you to the North Pole if you have enough fuel to travel a very, very long time. So right now we're actually just testing out the fuel system of this thing. I wanted to see if it was going to draw from the outside fuel tanks first, or if it was only going to be drawing from the inside fuel tank until that was empty. And, well, the test will show, after a couple minutes, that it is indeed only going to be pulling from the center tank. And we get some pretty interesting effects when I accelerate time a little bit. Notice how the plane is actually bowing downwards as we increase the time physics. Yeah, when I saw that, I really did not like the possibility of... I didn't really like the consideration of trying to do time acceleration while this thing was in the middle of flying. And that is pretty much going to result in me having to sit in front of my computer for an hour and a half, doing nothing but flying straight north. Oh yes, this was probably the most boring experience I've had with Kerbal Space Program. But it was also the most non-attentive kind of experience. I didn't have to sit here at the computer the entire time monitoring my craft. I was able to go around and do other things because this thing was actually very stable as long as you're not turning. Now here we're adding an ejection system in case anything goes horribly wrong, and we need to get Jebediah the heck out of there before he ends up a pancake on the ground. And yes, I know we were originally giving Jebediah a long vacation, but you know what? He's just so thrilled to be contributing to science and space exploration at any possibility. So, what choice do I have but to allow him to hop in the plane and try an expedition to the North Pole? It should be a relatively easy and safe mission. You know, he shouldn't get hurt at all. Let's see now. What are we doing right now? It's actually been a couple days since I recorded this thing, so I'm trying to just remember. I think we're almost about ready for an actual takeoff. Oh yes, I've added a little bit more struts to help support the center, and let's see, we're just adding our abort system and the chute for the abort sequence. And this is my attempt at actually getting all the scientific data toggled to just a single keyboard click. And I will use that, but it will prove to be not entirely useful to me. Because a lot of the stuff that we have assigned to the key click isn't really going to be giving me any scientific data on this flight. Yeah, that's probably something I should have thought about before I wasted the time. Let's see now, and this looks like the actual takeoff. And we had a problem. Yep. We actually had the abort sequence, and oh! Yeah, slight problem with the brakes there. Looks like the front wheel is at just the right point where if you try braking, it's going to let the entire thing flip over. Fortunately, Jebediah came out perfectly fine. But seeing that prompted me to try switching this thing around to hopefully alleviate this problem of the plane trying to do a front flip upon stopping. Alright, so attempt number 2 of actually taking off. Nothing going wrong so far. And we're actually getting up to a pretty good amount of speed pretty quickly here. Keep in mind that this video is a little bit faster than what we had, a little bit faster than actual time, but you see, we took off with plenty of time before the end of the runway. And this is when I tried doing all the scientific equipment in one keystroke thing, and a lot of it not entirely useful. So a lot of it's going to end up getting transmitted back at very low data value, and that's the last we're going to see of it. Everything else is going to be manually. And look at how wonderfully this thing turns. Very, very jerkily and kind of slow, and it's like trying to turn a large boulder with a stick. Yeah. I'm not sure how well that analogy actually works, but it's definitely going to be an interesting image. Alright, so here we are off to the North Pole with Jebediah, thrilled, like always, to be heading out to do some science and further advance our space program. And I was smart to put the antenna on the plane. So thankfully we're able to actually transmit things back. But I was not smart enough to actually attach some batteries to the plane so it's actually able to do more in a single chunk. Fortunately, our jet engine is fairly efficient at generating power. I'm not entirely sure how well that works, but I'm not going to complain. Now, for those who are wondering what kind of parts we're actually using for this plane, it is mainly stock. there's only a couple things that are from the B9 Aerospace mod. The engine we're using, that is from the B9 Aerospace mod, and it is an engine I really enjoy having. And the wings, they are also from the B9 Aerospace mod, and they're good wings. They just have a small problem with the stock control surfaces. Yeah, they kind of go into the wing as they're built. They stick out a little bit, and they don't really seem to cause any problems when trying to tilt up or down. So, thankfully they do their job without any issues. Alright, so we're switched over to the map view now, and as you see, despite the fact that we're flying mostly north, our line isn't quite north, is it? No, for some reason, it predicts we're going to be heading northeast, which I don't really know the properties of actual flight, so this is an area I'm entirely clueless in. I just figure, you know what, I should probably be aimed more to the northwest then to cancel out the fact we're heading northeast, so we are instead heading straight north in comparison. That's probably not the right way to do it. And I will adjust my flight here in a little while. And if I remember correctly, that's going to be an interesting experience. Now, one of the things I actually love about this plane that I made is it is very good for going up and down. Ah, yes, here we go. We are now switched over to the cockpit view, and we're just checking things out. I believe I only really decided to do this because I wanted to see how it was in the cockpit, trying to fly the plane around. And it looks like this is after I did a little bit of adjusting. Possibly. I don't know. Like I said, it's been a while since I actually recorded this video, and I didn't immediately put the audio on it. I decided to wait till after Thanksgiving, which, happy Thanksgiving, by the way. It is Thanksgiving Day. Ah, yes. Honestly, I can say I'm not that big of a fan of Thanksgiving. I do love the food. Don't get me wrong. I love eating. Which you probably wouldn't guess by looking at me, because I'm not that big a guy. In fact, if you were to see me, you wouldn't think I have any sort of body fat at all. I do have some, though. I am kind of chubby underneath my baggy clothes. But anyway, main reason I don't like Thanksgiving is Black Friday. Especially now that Black Friday is becoming Brown Thursday. Seriously, what is the deal with corporations? But let's not talk about that right now. Talking about that right now just will get people angry, and that's not the point of these videos. The point of these videos is to escape things that make you angry. Let you come to a place where you can just enjoy yourself, calm down, and just, hang out. I had some more things I was actually going to talk about. Let me see. Oh yes, I was going to talk about the Global Flyer itself, the aircraft this thing is designed on. Now, the Global Flyer actually had 2 drogue chutes, and this was to help slow it down, I believe, when it landed. I actually put a parachute on here specifically for that purpose, but of course I'm an idiot and forgot that when you're on the ground, you can't really deploy a parachute because it immediately cuts itself and disappears. Yeah, so I'm carrying a little bit of extra weight that I don't need right now. Unfortunate. Oh yes, and here's an interesting thing I noticed. For some reason, the plane's front control surfaces are pointing downwards. Now, when the front control surfaces are pointing downwards, that is, I believe, supposed to make your plane start going down. But it's not. And I don't really understand that very well. Alright, and we are halfway to the North Pole now. 38 minutes into our flight. And at this point, I'm just kind of tired, and I decide we need to adjust more towards the north, and look at how wonky this thing turns. I was really concerned at this point, because I don't know how structurally sound this thing actually is. I don't know if this thing is going to go into a death spin and completely screw over my mission to the North Pole. I think I got a little pop there on the P. But you know what? Jebediah's having a good time. Crazy guy, thrilled as always. But things turned out alright. Plane's pointing north-ish. More northish than it was before. It's still staying pretty steady in its height. It actually climbs somewhat, even though I'm pointing almost completely level with the horizon. And let's see, we're collecting some signs here, and oh no! We no longer have a comms device. Yeah, it turns out that at some point we completely lost our antenna. I'm assuming it was during that fit the plane was having when it was jerking all over the place, and it probably caused a little bit of pressure that was just enough to break the antenna off. Anyway, another check-in after another 20 minutes of flight about. Getting so much closer to the North Pole. And, it's a pretty peaceful flight. I barely had to be here at all. The plane practically flew itself. The air intake, I think it was actually great enough, mainly because the engine has its own intake, and we have 2 more intakes on the wings. And let's see, at this point I'm trying to fly the plane manually inside the cockpit to try to get a feel for that. And I'm not entirely sure about how I like it in this plane. It is a horrible experience not seeing anything, just watching as you're bouncing all over the place on your little nav ball, looking over to the side every now and then to see if you're still going up or down. And we are going down at this point now. Not very fast, in fact, we're actually starting to rise again. So yes, let's talk more about the Global Flyer. Let's see, it was a single engine plane with 18,000 pounds of fuel. That is quite a bit of fuel. Basically, they crammed fuel in every single part of the plane they possibly could. The wings behind the cockpit, the tail booms, which the tail booms themselves is actually kind of a more difficult thing to do, I guess. Because you don't want the fuel to be tipping one way or the other, making the plane try to have to fight to cancel out the weight of the fuel. Because when it starts doing that, you become a little bit less efficient with your fuel. Let's see, and we're back again. It's almost another 20 minutes. And take a look at that. We are near the North Pole now. And we'll be coming in for a landing fairly soon. Let's see. So, the Global Flyer actually wasn't the first plane of its particular design to circumnavigate the world. There actually was a plane before that built in 1986 called the Voyager, and this plane actually was a propeller plane. They're pretty similar in design, though the Voyager had the wings more towards the center of the plane, and it used a propeller instead of a jet engine. And the Voyager actually was trying to go around the world in, well, let's see, what was it? 8 days, I think? I cannot find the little note I took on that. Oh well. Anyway, the Voyager was the first plane of note I found of this design, and there's actually a bunch of pictures in the Popular Science magazine that show exactly the size of this plane. And I'd say that the plane I built here, the Sci-Fly, is actually fairly close in scale if you replace the humans with Kerbals. And we are actually in the middle of our final descent right now. Fortunately, we are at a mostly flat area of the North Pole, so landing this thing is not that big a deal. I'm trying to flip through and find more about the Voyager, but I completely lost everything I have about the Voyager. Let's see. Actually, there's the pilot in here. Dick Rutan, I think it is. Oh, it was a 9-day flight around the world. I was close. I almost had it memorized. Well, let's start taking a look more at our video and shove the Popular Science aside, and here we are, final descent, and things are going alright. We're coming in somewhat fast, but we still have plenty of space before we touch down on the ground. Plenty of time to start bleeding off our speed. At this point, I believe I was considering maybe I should fire the drogue chute and try slowing me down even further. It's a little bit hard to judge whether I need it or not, so I figure, you know what, I can just try touching down first, and at least if anything goes wrong, I have the abort system. Everything seems to be going fine. Just tap on the brakes a little bit every now and then, and we are parked. We have landed on the North Pole. Look at that. And we have so much spare fuel that technically we didn't even need the outer fuel stuff. I did transfer the stuff over mid-flight at a couple points, which was a difficult thing to do because it was trying to balance itself out. And oh, careful, Jeb! Don't fall down and hurt yourself. You need to get out there, get a flag planted, collect some samples, take a report. There we go. We got a little bit of science from the sample, a little EVA report, and let's try getting a flag up. Let's see, what were we going to call this thing? I don't know at all. And I accidentally screwed up a little bit there. Sci-Fly success, and the plaque shall read, oops, I didn't finish the plaque. Proof that you don't take down the flag and try again, Jeb. But the plaque was going to say, proof that you don't need a rocket to get around the world. Alright, well, let's just get Jeb back in the plane, get our samples stored away, file the EVA report, and he can hop back out and try the report once again, and... oh... Jeb, what happened? This was a very frustrating moment for me, especially when I realized that I hadn't activated any of the science equipment to get the data from the North Pole at all. Ugh. Hindsight. Do the science, activate the equipment before getting out of the plane, then get the reports. then get back in the plane and recover. Instead, Jeb fell down and we lost contact with him. But fortunately, when we recovered the vessel, we found that he had only tripped and broken both his arms, and as such was unable to communicate with us. Oh, how sad.